All right, everybody, welcome back to Open Line, where tonight we are asking the attorney, and that attorney is none other than the Kevin Kennedy. Thanks for joining us.
You know, when I'm doing this show with her, we were talking about host and hostess. It reminded me of Dolly Madison, the story that she would have the most influential people in Washington come to her Christmas party. So they used to interview her and say, how did you have the most influential people in Washington? She said, it's all in the hellos and the goodbyes. And she was so clever, her husband became president of the United States.
She was a big help.
A lot of help. Hello.
Well, Kevin Kennedy, we have a lot of callers waiting to get free legal advice from you tonight.
Yes.
What a gift, honestly.
We are glad to give it, glad to share it.
All right.
And, you know, our motto when I first got to be a lawyer, we're committed to helping people. And I do believe it. I want to live. I try to teach my children. I try to teach you. We want to help you. It does make a difference. Makes us feel good when we help someone.
All right, and let's go ahead and get to, I believe Bob on line 1 has been waiting. Hi, Bob. What's your question tonight for Open Line? Bob, can you hear us?
Hello?
Well,
yes,
hello.
go ahead, Bob.
Yes, good evening to each and every one of y'all up there at Channel 5. Kevin, my question is, back in April of this year, I lost my brother.
Sorry.
And I was looking at the deed in court, you know, he tried to get 3 boys to something about a child's part on it because there was no will. Just
Okay.
the deed. And they didn't do it. And I spoke with an attorney in Columbia, Tennessee. And the lady asked me, was there a clause in that deed stating tenants while in piety?
Yes.
Since there was no will. Now, the only thing that's on the deed was Mr. and Mrs. and heirs.
Okay.
Now, is there anything, what would be the law terms on that, like the deed was no will when it comes to like heirs or child?
Okay. I think I can answer that. In the state of Tennessee, when 2 people are married and they buy a home together, it goes to you and I if we were married, and it says tenants by the entirety. What that really means, if I passed away, the whole house would be divested from me upon death and vested into Casey if she were to die. And so that controls, we call that operation at law.
Okay.
If you didn't have that and it was just you and I and we owned it, it's an interpretation of tenants in common, which we could own a home as partners. And if she died, her half could go to her heirs and I would still own my half. In the state of Tennessee, the great point to make here is everybody get a will, please. Hear the lawyer. You'll help your family. You'll cut down on the frustration and the aggravation. The legacy will last for generations. But under Tennessee law, if there is no will, your wife or husband is entitled to get 1/3 or a child's share. So if there's 2 children, one child would get 1, another child, and the wife would get 1/3. If there was 3 children, you'd have to split up 2/3 with those children. The wife could still get 1/3. So, and remember this, under a will, if you're aggravated with your children, they didn't listen, they didn't do you right, in Tennessee, you can write your children completely out, never give them a thing. So if you really want, and if you don't have a will and there's a misunderstanding, then the government will dictate where your things go, and no one wants that. And so, you know, at Christmas, I like to say this, it's a time of giving. And some of the biggest, wealthiest people I've represented in my career, they always included the church in their bequests. And I salute them. There's some listening tonight. If you really wanted to leave a lasting legacy in your name, I challenge you and encourage you to do that. And we have a lot of charities. I think they're wonderful. And I would encourage you to consider that. And thank you for that question. But there's no problem. If there's no will, you're going to get your child's portion.
Yeah, great message this time of year, Kevin. We've got Courtney Francis and Janice on hold. But first, we're going to get to Courtney on line 2. Hi, Courtney. What's your question tonight?
Yes, I'm going through a lawsuit right now, and it's taken about 2 years. I was wondering, why does it take so long?
Okay, I'm
settle?
with you. We see it all the time. And again, I like an aggressive approach. If I'm pursuing, which side am I on? Am I the one bringing the lawsuit? I am very aggressive. If I'm the one that's defending the lawsuit, they're trying to sue Casey, take her home, take everything, then I'm in a different mode. I try to slow walk it. Why do I do that? Because I'm trying to protect my client. I'm not saying that we're breaking the rules, but I'm just saying that we can be aggressive in taking depositions, or we can slow it down. And so many times the court dockets are so packed, you can't even get a court if everybody's being aggressive. It's more than a year. In Tennessee, we have what's known as a discovery process, so that we can take your deposition. What is a deposition? We call the other side. We get to question them under oath. And if we catch them in a lot of lies, that's why they say, why do we have cross-examination? The psychologists say that you could never say the same lie twice the same way. And they get on the lawyers, you've already asked that question. No, we didn't. We asked a different version of that question. If I may proceed, the judge, and if we're in there, sometimes even in these depositions, they get aggravated, they get hot. But if it's her home on the line, she's saying, Kevin, you get them off of me at all costs. So I said, let's call the judge. And we'll just get the judge on the phone. And we're in a legal dispute regarding this, and he'll rule. So those are some of the things. Are you going to be a zealous advocate for your client? Are you going to do everything within your bounds in the law to protect her interests? Absolutely. What kind of litigator? That's a gladiator. That's the kind that I really want. If they were after me, and people all the time say, man, we hate lawyers. You'll hate the lawyer until you got one that you need, and you will absolutely love your lawyer. It'll make a difference. I've loved all the lawyers that I ever had defending me. And if you've been in business, you can't be in business without having to bring some and having to defend some. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Courtney, for the call. Let's get to our next caller. I believe we have Francis on line 3. Hi, Francis. What's your question tonight?
I need to know what the difference is between a transfer of property and a deed.
Okay, well really that is synonymous. A deed is the written document that says what the legal description from this bound to this bound, north, south, west, that's the legal description. And if I were going to deed my property to Casey, then that would be a transfer of property. You could do it with real estate, that's real property. I can do it with personality. We call that an inter vivos gift. If I took my ring and gave it to her, I had the intent and I made the delivery. If we don't have those two elements, she didn't get a completed gift. I could have loaned it to her. And then, you know, that's when you get into all these legal arguments. So those could be synonymous. You just need to find out what the full facts are, and then we could explain it to you better. All
right, we got Tony coming up, but first let's get to Janice on line 4. Hi, Janice. Thanks for calling in tonight. What's your question for Kevin?
Okay, my mom died in 2011, and she did have a will leaving the home that I currently live in to me,
okay,
her only heir. But I never had the will probated. I never did anything with it.
Yes.
So what do I need to do at this point to get the home in my name?
Good, real good question. Thank you for calling. So many people, they say, well, you know, I'm the only heir and I've got the will. Please go have the will probated, because if something happened to you, you just really created a real problem for your children. So I would definitely say, and you file that, you open it up. Sometimes they stay open 6 months. Why do they do that? Because under the law, if somebody wanted to make a claim on the estate, they have to make that claim or they're forever barred. So when you go through probate and you have these, they really come back to protect us. Because you and I may have inherited this house, we'd like to sell it. Yet you've got a cloud on it until we go through probate.
All right. Tony on line 5, thank you for waiting. Okay. What's your question tonight?
And one of the issues too is that I need an attorney who's willing to work with me pro bono, because I'm on Social Security and I can't afford an attorney.
Okay? And one of the first things I would tell you to pursue is the Legal Services of Middle Tennessee. They do a lot of pro bono work, and in fact, you know, people say all these lawyers are the most money that's contributed to Legal Services of Middle Tennessee comes from the lawyers. They even recognize there's some people that need legal help, and so that's where I would start. And if you don't snag there, you can go to the National Bar Association. There's a lot of wonderful organizations that have lawyers that are volunteering their services to try to help those in need.
All right, I think we lost Tony, but we're going to go ahead and move to line 1. I believe we have Elaine on line 1.
Okay, Elaine.
Can you hear us, Elaine?
Yes.
All right, what's your question tonight? Thanks for calling in.
My question is, when you have a product financed through a finance company, and when you make your payments and they don't give all your money towards that payment, they don't use it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a form of fraud?
It could easily be determined that, yes, ma'am. You know, there are rules and regulations that govern all of these financial institutions, and so what do we take away from what you're saying? Keep up with your records. We had people come in and say, well, you know, I paid in cash. I had a lawyer today, and he said, well, let me just explain this to you. If you paid in cash, did you get a receipt? No. And they said, well, then the truth is you didn't pay. Wow, that's harsh. That's rude. What about a man's testimony? I heard a lawyer say one time, he said, if it's not in writing, it wasn't said. So again, who are you protecting when we transact business? You have to look after yourself. And that's why I like for people to do business with reputable companies. And do business with people you know. You know, so many times there's so many con games out here on the internet, you don't even know you've been conned until it's too late. And there's nothing worse than paying for something to find out 5 years later there's still a balloon. Y'all never told me that there was a balloon. But there are agencies that will help you prevent that. And if you can prove it's fraud, the district attorney can prosecute.
All right, well, we got Jeffrey and Max coming up, but we're going to go ahead and take one more quick break. Keep it right here on News Channel 5
It's going
Plus.
by fast.
Kevin
Case.
Kennedy. We'll be right back.